Hi, peoples.
We're back. I know you all missed us and you just wanted to cry yourselves to sleep.
I know.
So it is good honking grief. Been living with a smoker for a week. A lot of people don't like the smell of cigarette smoke, but I do.
Yeah, I'm not a fan, me personally. I mean, I
What
used to smoke, but
what do you not like? The
I
clothes?
just in the clothes. Yeah, I just don't like, I don't know. It's not a pleasant smell like afterward,
I don't
you
know.
know?
I find it comforting maybe because he smokes. And when I'm not with him, that smell is a comfort.
Maybe. Yeah,
I don't know.
I can see that. I like cloves. I bought some cloves recently.
Mmm.
Very good.
We're gonna get down with those.
Yeah, they're good. Germs. I didn't realize they brought them back because they took them away for a while.
Why? Because of the lack of filter? I mean, it's just like a cigar.
Maybe. And maybe it's like now that they had like spice and a whole bunch of other weird shit that was legal, they're
Oh,
like,
right.
those aren't so bad.
I am I mistaken that kids were smoking cloves because
Probably.
they could get away with it because it didn't
Uh,
smell exactly like cigarettes.
I don't know. I would think any kid smoking is just like, well, it's not candy, so like
I mean, they knew they were smoking that, but like a lot of kids, try and vape, and so for a while they tried to get rid of the vapes that you sold with flavor in the gas stations. Like, kids are gonna smoke no matter if there's a flavor or not. I'm sorry.
yep.
I did. I smoked Marlboro Lights every summer of my life at Fine Arts Camp. That's right.
I didn't smoke until I was like 19.
No, I was just talking to my Lyft driver last night. For those of you who don't know, I have been in California for 3 weeks now, which is why Rachel and I have not been recording. And I had every intent to record and do something. But then when I got up to Idaho, I mean, I could barely do a video call. The Wi-Fi is just too weak up there. Um, and then came back down, spent a couple days in the Bay Area, and then went back down to Huntington Beach with my boyfriend, and he promptly got COVID on. I was there
Oh
Monday,
no.
and on Thursday he tested positive twice, and then got the official doctor test on Friday. So
Dreaded Covis.
we had an interesting time, but you know what? Being together regardless is was the point. And so I had plans for when he was at work that Rachel and I were gonna I was gonna go. I had all the best plans laid out. It's gonna be down by the beach, do a little cafe, do our podcast, and then you know, there's that. But last night I flew in about 12:45 and didn't get a driver until about 1:25. And I'm sitting there, I'd been on the plane. I'd been on, at this point, 3 different flights. And just, I really wanted to vape. I really wanted to vape. I wanted to take a
I bet.
good, big, long toke and let that cloud just go free. Because, I can sneak them like this. Maybe I shouldn't, well, there are ways. There are ways to vape when you're flying. Just so you know, if you want to know the secrets, send me a message afterwards, but I won't say it publicly on air. How about that?
Right,
Um,
yeah. We're not promoting that you take any kind of nicotine or alcohol into any aircraft or, well, motorized vehicle doesn't matter, but airport.
that is
But it,
possible.
yeah.
Um, and so he picks me up, and his name was Emil. And now they have in Lyft. I don't know if they have it in Uber. I don't use Uber that often anymore. I use Lyft more.
Mhm.
And you can request how you want your ride to be. So you want the car to be cool. And hello, we're in Houston, so obviously I want the air conditioner
Yeah.
on. And I
Yeah.
requested quiet time, meaning don't talk to me during the ride. I mean, it's 1:30 in the morning, and I'm just like, fuck everybody. So we're pulling out, and he's very friendly guy. Very friendly guy. He says, I wasn't going to pick up a ride. He was all the way, I mean, he was at least 15 miles away from me when I requested the ride. But I guess a bunch of drivers turned off their app, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
So he picked me up. He was going home, and I was actually on the way home to where he lives. And I said, dude, can I vape? Can I vape in here? He's like, absolutely, go ahead. I was like, just, I said, they should have a smoking option for these cars. They should have an option that you can pick, I want a smoking car. Right?
I mean, it's not a bad idea because a lot of people vape.
Yeah, and so I said, I was riding, I don't remember where I was. Oh, I was riding, I was riding from the airport, and I said, this was, just randomly, I said, can I vape? And he said, yeah, absolutely, just roll the windows down. And then I asked another girl, and she said, no, which is fine. You can tell me no. And he goes, man, I've been smoking all day. I've been smoking in my car all day. And he says, I got these new Marlboros. You can only get them, apparently, not in America, but they're, what the Camel Crush are, where you crush out.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So they're like that. They've got different flavors. So this was mint and grape. I was like, man, I'm all over this. This is great. He let me smoke a cigarette in his back seat. But then, and this is where God works, people. I'm Leslie. I'm an alcoholic.
I'm Rachel, and I'm an alcoholic.
I said, I know nicotine's not good for me. I know that. And I know that I need to quit. I said, I absolutely know that. I'm not stupid. He says, yeah, I need to quit too. And I said, but I've been sober off of alcohol for 3 years, and I'm really proud of myself. And I said, the plain and simple point is that I'm not ready to give up smoking. He says, yeah. I've got a gambling addiction.
Yep.
I said, really?
Okay.
And so we just started talking about addiction and how his brother-in-law died from an overdose a month ago, and how I told him there are groups available to him. I told him about our podcast. I told him that there are resources available to him, that when he's ready and wants to stop the nonsense, that there are people willing to help. And that was amazing. It really was amazing that we were able to have that. And I was just going to sit back there and just be like, don't talk to me, But we talked for 30 minutes straight on the way home. It was wonderful. And I'm very grateful for that car ride last night. I really am. Because I was supposed to be picked up from the airport, but that didn't happen because my flight came in late, And this was just, it's exactly when you look for those opportunities. And when I turned 3 years sober, I said, I want to see the miracle in every day, or I want to see the opportunity to, I don't know, whatever, shine a light. And that was that opportunity yesterday, and I'm very grateful for that. So there's
That's awesome. That's why it's, it pays to be honest. That's something I've realized, because you never know who's going to reach out. I've also experienced that in the workplace and just many places, or you get the, congratulations, which is always nice too. But even if someone is offended or shocked by it, which I'm sure you've gotten as well, it makes them think.
What, saying I'm an alcoholic?
Yeah, I've definitely had that.
I don't know if I have.
Surprised that I've said it. But I think it's getting the message out there. So, yeah,
we have no shame with that.
No, I mean, that's the whole point.
Mm-hmm. I was, I opened up to a couple parents at the end of the school year about it, And it's not like I'm like, hey, parents, I'm an alcoholic. It's not like that.
Like a poster board in glitter.
It's getting into conversations about, I've talked to them about their kids on TikTok or blah, 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 whatever, and I'm saying, the things that we usually worry about, like drugs and alcohol, are heightened now because of the social media aspect and how parents are not watching their children. And
Yeah.
so in the midst of those conversations, I have said, and I was a good kid. I did everything right. I was stupid and I did dumb things, of course, and got in trouble. But I never really, I didn't have sex. I didn't do drugs. I didn't drink in high school. And I said, but you can do everything right. But if you don't
Yeah.
have these open, honest, upfront conversations with your kids, they're still going to do stuff when they're an adult.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, it doesn't always matter.
The
That's
most important thing for these parents to know is, like with my parents, when I am in trouble,
hmm
I can come to them.
I agree. I agree. That's establishing trust boundaries, healthy boundaries, a good relationship. And it's not always easy because with each stage of development, it changes and children change,
Yeah.
and that's normal. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Very natural. So while you were gone, I have been just like getting my shit in order where I finally have like settled into my place. I'm realizing that a lot of things that I had all over the place in boxes still, it's because I have a fear of once I settle, I'm gonna have to move. I'm always gonna have to move. I'm never gonna be able to stay. And now working with the sponsor I have, I'm realizing a lot in step 5 and well 4 and 5 because I really they're a combo deal. Where I can relax. Like I can be okay with that. It's not perfect, but I want to stay where I'm at because it's my home. Like I'm working hard for it. And I've just been plugging away at that, trying to find more support out there financially, just more opportunities to grow, to help Matthew. He's had appointments and it's been exhausting because my son, who I know I've talked about and you've seen on here a few times, is on the spectrum, but he's also ADHD, which is kind of a new thing that just happened today because that's really presenting more than the autism at this point. And we're working on, figuring that out. His sleep schedule has been all over the place, so I am exhausted. But that's the life of a parent. And, I speak to him like we've been taking walks every day, or at least a few a week, and swimming and stuff, which has been pretty cool. But he was asking me about the vape, right? On the subject of like talking to your kids and being open and honest to having a relationship. And he was like, well, Mom, why do you need that? It's not good for you. I'm like, I know, buddy. But I'm like, how I go to my meetings? Because Leslie and I have both been open that we do that online in our community and our fellowship. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, well, that's what helps keep Mom, sober and in recovery and like focused because it's not easy and it's a disease. So that was my opportunity because he asked, and that's what I believe as a parent and as just a person. And that's once they ask, they're ready to know. So I just tell him in appropriate language for his age and his understanding and his development. And that's how I open up, for a conversation at some point so he understands. And there was just a lot of that, a lot of bonding and, just settling. And it's been really nice where I felt like I should be doing more, but that's dissipating more. And I'm like, it's okay to just be.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. And I've definitely missed this. I'm glad that we're gonna get back into it and structure. I mean, it's growing as this podcast grows. Who knows? I like that we kind of just go with the flow of, excuse me, how it's going to materialize. I mean, recovery focused, but not. I think it got a little silly for a little bit, but that happens.
Yeah, but I mean, it's our show,
That's
ultimately.
true.
You know what I mean? And so, whatever we're feeling on any one day, I mean, that's the whole point of it. We tell people, we want people to know that recovery is not a cult, you
No,
know?
it's not.
And so if we want to get up here and we want to read a friend's script cold, does that have anything to do with recovery?
I mean, it does
Absolutely.
because you're living real life. Like the
Mm-hmm.
point of this program or any program or recovery in general, the point of recovery in general is to live life, not to escape it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not in recovery. That's still in the disease of addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings us to step dose today.
Step dose. Look at us. We're multilingual. Due. Due.
You
Uh,
are,
um,
yeah.
um, let's see, what else? What other language?
Um,
Two.
bye.
Huh? De?
Yeah.
De?
Yeah, it's French. Un, deux, trois.
Okay.
Uh, bye. German.
Okay. Five.
Un, zwei, drei.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so we've got English, Spanish, Italian, French, and German. Look at us. we are. We
That's
are.
the
A,
extent of it.
we are a
Well,
global recovery outreach center.
soon Leslie and I are going to put out a children's 1 to 3 YouTube video on how to count.
Hi,
Just 1 to 3.
Amy. Amy, thank you. We are glad to be back too.
Hey.
Um. So yeah, step two. We went over step one 3 weeks ago before
Mm-hmm.
we
Go through these bad boys one at a time.
And so I have the work that I do with my girls pulled up, and Rachel said something just a few minutes ago that I don't know if you guys caught, but she said, as I've been working with my sponsor, I've started realizing things. That's the key, right? The work, you can say, oh, yeah, I have a sponsor. All right. And what do you do with that? You know, I'm not the kind of sponsor that's like, okay, you're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and you're going to call me every day, and you're going to journal, and then you're going to do this assignment, and if you don't do it by the end of the week, then we are done.
Right. You have to show initiative. It's a two-way street. Remember, people, these programs are free.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't getting paid, and we ain't paying no one.
Yeah, speaking of PayPal, at It's Okay to Laugh, and
Yes.
you can help us keep this free message free.
One
Right?
of my personal dreams and goals eventually is to go around the earth with Leslie,
Earth.
most of the time in the States, and just find places of recovery and just talk to people and film that through an entire summer or something.
Oh my God! We could get our RV dream on.
That's what I'm saying.
The Recovery RV. All right, there is a new mission. Fund our Recovery RV. Actually, what I really need people to fund is some groceries because I have some
I just
eggs.
need money for life. I have a GoFundMe out, which I'm not a big fan. I usually don't say anything like that, but and it's listen, times are tough, and I had some ladies at work that really saw me struggle, and they're like, "You should try it." And I'm like, even Leslie had mentioned it to me before offline,
Mm-hmm.
but I realize like people have good intentions, and I've definitely helped people. So if you want help feed us, the poor, giving you the free, speech on recovery and our experience, strength, and hope.
Yeah, and I learned this week
Mm-hmm.
because my bank account was compromised.
Yeah, that's a good story. You know what? Tie that into this step. That's a good one.
I'm gonna.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's just jump right into it, shall we? Because step 2 says, came to believe a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Now, here we are again hung up on the God thing, which a lot of people are, get freaked out about at the very beginning. I talked to my cab driver last night about this. That it's not what it's about.
No, and if you break it down, which I think is important, power greater, not God, power greater. What is power? Something bigger than ourselves, but it has to have some gusto. We can't be ourselves. That's the whole point of addiction, is that we're in an egoic sense of self, complacency, and stagnancy.
Right.
That all has to go. And just be open, if you are new watching this, to change that mindset, because if that mindset doesn't change, the addiction will not be restored to sanity. Like your mind won't, that's kind of the point. So
here's what I tell people that are really just like, this isn't for me.
Yeah. Dumbfounded. Yeah.
I say, well, what's working for you right now?
Ooh, we should have questions like that. Is that what you asked? That's a good one.
What is working for you right now? And most of the time it's nothing. I fucked up my life. So, give this a try.
Right, dude? If you're willing to drink your sorrows away, try praying to something that you believe in. And just, it's little, small things every day to form a new belief system. Because most of us, not everyone, come into recovery as an adult and a fully aged adult. So we are very stubborn and stuck in our ways as a community without addiction. So with addiction, it's like even more. And
So
that's what I personally did as well. It's just small little things every day to change the way I thought.
so let's just go through when you start step 2,
Hmm.
you have no idea what step 2 is basically. I mean, you know at the end of step 2, your mission, your goal is to come to this understanding that there is a power greater than myself that can restore me to sanity. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, that sounds like an impossible task. And when you finish step 2, that you may not have that power defined. And that's okay. This is not to say, okay, sit down today in the next hour, I am going to figure out the meaning of life. No. I'm very intelligent and extremely wise. I still don't know what the fuck I'm doing most days.
Those two sentences are very glorious together. I'm so wise. I don't know shit. I'm
Yes.
like, I mean, there is wisdom in that. Absolutely. I am not as boastful as my counterpart here. I consider myself very wise. I'm a very old, decrepit soul,
Yes.
but I
A
smart.
curmudgeon, if you will.
I never considered myself intelligent. Not
You're
until like,
you are stupid to not to even say that.
well,
This
I
this
don't know.
woman is so smart. It's just not even funny.
Baby steps. Babies again, baby steps to change the thought process. So, okay, I'll be the new person. Now, why should I believe in God? God's stupid.
Hold on, just a second, Rachel.
You can't convince me.
I'm not trying to convince you of shit, bitch. All I want you to do is do some soul searching here. Answer these questions. Now,
All right, lay 'em on
they
me.
can be surface. If you don't want to get deep with them, that's on you. Okay? I'm just here to help you kind of navigate this road to getting there. All
All
right?
right, well, I don't like being drunk all the time, so that makes sense.
Good. Yeah, and you please don't do these drunk because then we're going to have to start over at step 1. Okay? All right, and you did such a good job with step 1. So let's just keep going. Don't drink no matter what. Okay. So, well, obviously, we're going to listen to Joe and Charlie, which I mentioned before in our step work. And one of my girls this week said that from here, she has found other, like podcasts like this, like
Yeah.
or other commentaries on the big book, and that's great. That's the purpose. Here's a starting point right at your fingertips, right. You can listen and hold on, we got a spammer. Naked HD XYZ sex dates fuck overpriced Tinder. Hey, I am with you, chatbot. We
Maybe you need some recovery as well. So
yeah.
welcome. But this is not the place. Bless you.
Yeah, I gotta try and delete that shit. So
Hey, blessings. We moderators for YouTube.
I know we need a moderator. We're
Who
gonna
wants to step up to the plate and be our awesome monitor or monitor?
I'm on you.
Maybe a shirtless lumberjack that can break wood with his bare hands. I would.
Oh, I miss my boyfriend. Okay, so
Step 2.
okay. So anyway, this is just a good. It's just to let people know. Look, hey, this digital age. Here's resources available for you. Okay, when you're driving in the car. All right, now we get into what it means to be restored to sanity and what that power greater than ourselves means. So, how exactly did I make alcohol my higher power? Describe in detail some examples.
Well, if a higher power is something greater than myself, then it has to be bigger than me. So I guess with alcohol, that would be that I turn to drinking. That would be like my prayer. Like that's what I turn to cope.
Okay?
And everything from happy, any emotion, anything.
So give an example.
If I get fired from work, I'm drunk. If I have a great day at work, I'm drunk. If something doesn't go my way, I can't pay a bill, I'm drunk, and then I'm hungover, and then I'm going to drink because of the hangover. So it's very cyclical.
Okay. So, if I was working with you as a sponsee, I would
Hmm.
say, I want you to tell me an exact instance, a specific memory of when you were in despair and when you
Okay.
were feeling joy that you made alcohol your higher power.
You want that example now?
Well, I'll give mine. So, if I had a bad day at work, the only thing I would think about when I get home is having a drink and
Mm-hmm.
just escaping. Just
Mm-hmm.
now, I think that probably normal people think, oh, it'll be nice to have a beer when I get home and just kick back, right?
Right.
But I'm like, I'm gonna have 6 beers and then I'm gonna have half a bottle of vodka and then I'm going to bed and that's my night, right? On the flip side, I'm it's my birthday, right? And it's a happy, joyous time, and I'm going to have a 6 pack of beer and a half a bottle of vodka because I deserve it because I'm happy. So there was no rhyme or reason with it. There's no separation of
Church and state, it's all the same.
yes,
The
it
higher power is the booze.
that's it.
Hmm.
And I think that's probably what you meant too.
It's absolutely what I meant. Yeah, one example for me, one of the last times I got drunk, I remember I was sad over a relationship, and I drowned that in wine, and I did that a lot. It's very melancholy, my drinking days. So, yeah, that's how I would cope. That was my coping device.
Mm-hmm.
I numbed. It wasn't even coping, I was numbing. I didn't want to actually deal with it. Tried to dodge everything that came my way.
So Amy just asked, "Is this from a book you are using?" So I've explained this with my steps that I do with my people. Is all of these questions come straight from the big book, and I've pulled from other sources and resources to compile these exact questionnaires. And steps 1, 2, and 3 are questionnaires because we have to get to our we're not going to get to the bottom of it for a while, but we do have to get down to why are you here basically.
Yeah, it's that first layer of it, like
Mm-hmm.
the rest of that comes really in 4 and 5, your patterns, but that's for later.
Also, if you are tuning in and you are not an alcoholic, I just started someone who's already done the steps and she has a desire to do them again, which is wonderful. And I said, now instead of using alcohol, I want you to use self-destruction. Because as we've talked about, we easily will replace those addictions with something else destructive.
Absolutely.
So while the term alcohol is there, don't get hung up on liquor. Don't get hung up on that. If you're
No.
listening, don't be like, oh, I'm not an alcoholic. Okay, well, are you using heroin? Because you probably could still, you could
Right.
probably relate some of these questions to heroin as well.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And, even with the God word, like replace God with whatever your higher power is. Like just replace that word while you're reading. And that helps sometimes. That'll help people because you're not focusing on what isn't, you're looking at the similarities, which is a huge part of recovery.
And also think about this. Higher power is not a religious context. Higher power is a just an idol.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a spiritual program.
if you notice, I didn't say how exactly did I make alcohol my god.
Right.
We're not talking about God at this point. We're talking about that there is no there is no
I and team.
yes there, there's no like give and take with alcohol. There's no relationship there. There's no stability there.
No,
So
it's a substance. It's not a friend.
yes, and and when we're talking about how am I my higher power? Well, when I do whatever the fuck I want all the time. I mean,
Right, which you could slip back into like any time. I do that multiple times a day sometimes.
So, we're not talking about God at this point. What we're talking about is how you have sacrificed everything because alcohol is the most important thing in your life right now.
That's right.
That's what it means to have a higher power.
Yes. And I feel like, at least for me, when I came to that realization, that's what made me, that first layer of disbelief and like thinking this is cult like and all about God started. I realized it was all me thinking that. That wasn't what it's about because I didn't listen.
Yeah.
I don't care about what other people think. I mean, I still don't always either, but sometimes it's okay.
There's a fine line there. And
There
that's
is.
something that my sister has always said, like, I don't care what people think. And I
It,
understand the connotation of that statement. I do understand that. Like, I'm
right.
loud and I'm crass. I don't really care that people can't take that. I don't, if people don't want to hang out with me because I'm loud and crass, that's
Yeah.
okay, because I'm not changing what I am. However, if people if people don't want to hang out with me because I'm loud and crass, because I'm so raging drunk that I'm taking out everything in my path, that's a different thing. I need to care about things like that.
Yeah, because we're impeding on others' existence and lives at that point, and that's not okay, which I've definitely done.
All right, so in what areas do I need sanity right now in my life?
Hmm. I'm going to answer these again, still in the character of a newbie because it will get too deep and I want to keep it simple.
Okay.
So, in what areas do I need sanity right now in my life? Waking up and be able to feel good about myself.
Okay. Is that it?
That's pretty, yeah,
Okay.
just simple.
So
Yeah.
for me, it was, well, and still is, to go about my day without constant anxiety
Hmm.
and knowing that everything will be okay.
I bet a higher power would really work for that.
What?
I know, right? It's crazy.
A novel idea.
Maybe an infomercial, maybe.
Mom just says, "What in the world is going on in the live chat? Filthy."
Yeah.
Well, Mom, we had a spam bot, but I have reported it, and hopefully it's gone on my end. But maybe you guys can still see it. I'm
Dusty
sorry.
grossies need love too.
Yeah, they're just trying to
Making money.
earn their money their way. In what ways am I addicted to my painful and insane ways of thinking and reacting? Ooh, you and I had a good conversation about this morning.
Yeah. For me, it's a sense of control. So that's how I was addicted to it because I knew pain, I knew misery, and it was a sense for me to know the result of how things would turn out if I kept myself in that pain and misery
Okay,
in the
painful.
form of controlling others or attempting to control others in the outcome of something. Yeah.
I never dealt with like paranoia. And near the end, I did because
Mm-hmm.
I could see people judging the amount that I was drinking, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But as far as painful and it's control,
Yeah.
wanting things my way.
Yes.
Got in a huge, big, fat fight with the guy. Oh, I can say his name now because he's been on our show. I got in a huge, big, fat fight this week with Justin because I made a change on a flight. It wasn't a big deal. The change in the flight wasn't a big deal in itself. The problem is that I did it without discussing it with him. And those are the things that I do. I think, well, this is best for me. So I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to, it doesn't matter what everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very selfish like mindset. And I think that's a common thread with a lot of addicts in general.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we can see that live chat.
Yes, we can see the live chat. It's just delayed by 20 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I don't know if it's a coping mechanism, like take care of yourself. I've never been abandoned. I've never been left by the wayside. I don't know where that control comes from. I don't know where that willful decision making comes from. But in the past, there wasn't even a consideration for the other people in my life, right? Now those things still creep up, but I'm with a guy who's going to call me on my shit a lot, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so, like, yesterday morning, I text Rachel and I was like, I looked at the flight and I was like, I maybe, you know what, maybe I'll just change this to Thursday. And I was like, wait, let's remember the conversation that we just had. And I said, Rachel, can I come in on Wednesday or Thursday instead of Friday? And she's like, probably not the best idea. Your guy just had COVID. Let's just make sure that you get a couple negative tests under your belt. And those are the things that I have. Those are the pray, ponder, pause, ponder, pray moments that are really insignificant in the grand scheme of things, right?
Well, I think
So,
it helps stay in the present moment, which is a large key again to this, recovery process.
mm-hmm. And it turned, you know, with him and what we talked, it turned out fine. It turned out fine. And it wasn't the matter of the time and when I had to be at the airport and when I was leaving. It wasn't that. It was that, look, I'm the guy you're here to spend time with. I'm the guy taking you to the airport. Don't you think that just a mention would have been nice before booking the flight? And those are the things that I have to take into consideration now. Those small things that I get away with a lot, and then they build up and they build up and they build up. And so when I come back now, after working these steps 3 years ago, and I go through these with my girls, and I have, I say girls because that's usually what I do. I have, I've helped a couple guys too, but I start checking myself and saying, okay, I still have these problems.
Mm-hmm.
And what we learn in this program is this is not a drinking disease, this is a thinking disease. Drinking is but a symptom. And when we go through the steps again and we say, okay, I don't want to drink anymore, I'm not even tempted to go have a sip at all, so why am I still feeling all angsty inside? Because of those things that we haven't addressed yet.
Yeah, that's a layering process, a delayering process. That's how I've heard of it, like an onion. And I think also, because you touched on abandonment and things like that, that triggered in me like trauma. A lot of people in recovery have had trauma. I have, and I actually, abandonment is my deepest wound and is my deepest, like that's where all my defects really come from.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it can be more challenging in a way to get out of oneself because you're in like protection mode. But that's where what's worked for me is getting a sponsor you trust and doing things like this, like we're answering today, but also outside help, like therapy. There's many different forms of therapy, support groups of all kinds, making sure you have a good, physical routine of some sort, just even simple like walking. That's what I do, swimming.
Go to
And
some other 12-step meetings.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's so much more support than AANA. There's other things out there, and it's important because it's probably, at least for me, it's harder to get out of my head dealing with trauma, but it is a possibility, and you really have to, that's another process of like accepting as well. And it's not a race, it's like one little thing at a time, just small little changes every day, and it really does help in committing to that. And I think that then it naturally really does happen where you can look at situations like you were describing, Leslie, and be like, okay, this is my part, instead of being righteous about why we want to like make a choice or stick with an action or a reaction to someone or something. And that's what's helped me, at least.
Mm-hmm. Well, so we were talking this morning, Rachel and I won't go into any detail, but she said about, this is frustrating, da 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 da. She says, I'm sorry if I vent to you. It's me and her sponsor, and that's pretty much how it is with me too. My sponsor and Rachel are the people that I can just say whatever to, and it's not like I'm gossiping, and it's not like I'm bitching, and it's not any of that. It's just a safe place that we can get it out and say, And now I see how that's ridiculous. you know?
Right, right.
So
And
the
it's people you can trust too, because like when I do that, like I apologize because I'm trying to own what I'm saying so I'm cognizant of it so I can understand what's coming out of my mouth and not just be like, well, I feel this way, so tough shit. Because I was like that for a very long time.
so Rachel and I have been close for like a year. I
Hmm.
think about a year we started getting close.
Yeah.
And then obviously in the past 9 or so months we've just gotten like this. But I said to her, and so she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry that I don't want to sound like I'm complaining about everything." And I said, "Dude, look, 2 years ago, you wouldn't have taken the time to just think it through and bitch about it. 2 years ago, you would have reacted and ruined a relationship."
It's true.
And I am super proud of her for that, because this question right here is not an easy question to answer when you're new in recovery. It really
No.
isn't. Because most people say, well, because I'm thinking alcohol will solve my problems. Yes, at the beginning, that is your painful and insane way of thinking and reacting.
Well,
Absolutely.
it's not enough to just take away the substance because, again, like Leslie said, it's a thinking disease. And just chip away. If it's
Mm-hmm.
too much, if you have all those layers of trauma and pain, just chip away. Trust your gut after the alcohol's gone, where you can like not have the DTs and you're at least stable. That's when these questions start or should be with a sponsor and whatever comes to your mind. And that's the pain and insanity or whatever, whatever you're working on at that point. And that it does work. It's slow. It's a slow process. It's a
Mm-hmm.
5 course meal, not a fast food drive-in.
And we take the steps. So I was 38 when I first took the steps.
Yeah,
And
me too.
at 38, wise and had my life all together, entering AA, I certainly didn't think that I'd be working the steps the rest of my life. Not that it was a negative thought, but I didn't think in those terms. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Well, we
But
don't know what we don't know.
this is a process that is hold on.
I know.
Hide user on this channel. There we go. Okay. There we go. I think I took care of it. Um, this is a process that's going to go for your lifetime.
Yes, you keep reworking layering
Now,
process.
does that mean I'm gonna go ahead?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like the steps. One of the smartest things I've heard, besides the world record for being sober, is 24 hours because that keeps you very in the present, and that there's no king or queen of this race because it's not one.
Mm-hmm.
That what was I just gonna say? Damn it, I just lost my train of thought because I saw those naked things on there.
You
Damn
perv.
it. Is that what were we just talking about?
About
It was
working it the rest of your life, and when you come
yes.
in, you don't think in those terms.
There we go. So one of the smartest things I've heard is that when someone's really working the program and it's becoming part of their life, so they can learn like how to live life. When you ask them what step are you on, and it's not if it's just like or I don't work them anymore because I already did. That's not real recovery. It
Mm-hmm.
really isn't. At least in my experience. So
And
I
it's
think
not,
always work with me.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's not that I'm sitting down at the computer and going through this questionnaire every
No,
few,
it changes as it changes with you.
yeah, but these
And it makes you
questions
yourself.
are now in the forefront of your mind, and you're going, oh, my work is never done. I mean,
Right.
it's like an exercise regime. I can't,
Absolutely.
I'm not
Yes,
going
it
to,
is the muscle.
I'm not going to work out for a year, get in shape, and then think, well, I'm done. I'm done. No, you
That's
got
a
to.
great metaphor or analogy. Yes, it is. That's exactly what it's like. Also, if you do have questions, feel free to ask, or if you want to answer any of these, let us know. And
Yeah, mom's saying that it's her chats aren't showing.
no, I don't see them, but I do
Yeah,
see
I saw. Is it Tay
Tay.
42?
Yeah, Tay 42. Yeah, being trauma is that's a rough one, and that would definitely go with this. In what ways am I addicted to my painful, insane ways? So you can definitely relate that if you want. And I also still have abandonment issues, but today I can say that one without shame, without pity, and just know that that's what I deal with, and I'm chipping away at it to find the real meaning of why that would lead me to drink or hold me back or numb my pain. So hopefully that helps a little bit.
I I've been pretty open on here
Mm-hmm.
that I have not experienced what most people would consider trauma. I have had my own traumatizing experiences, but I am not blind to the fact that I have led a pretty charmed life, you know? And so when we talk about trauma and things like that, I have very little that I can offer to the conversation, except that I have a partner here next to me in Rachel that can address those things. And that's part of this recovery program too, because I don't have all the answers. Rachel doesn't have all the answers. Amy doesn't have all the answers. But we as a network of people can bring people to this understanding of, hey, I've been through it too, and we can
Right.
it is possible to get through it. I don't understand your trauma. I don't
Right.
understand Rachel's trauma. I will never understand her trauma. I don't understand my boyfriend's demons that he's dealt with from the past. You know, I don't understand, even though my mother has been in my life for, 41. I'll be 41 soon. Even though my mom's been in my life for 41 years, she has dealt with stuff. My dad has dealt with stuff that I will never understand. Ever. And I will never pretend to try and understand. But
Big
the
passion.
the emotions behind it,
Yeah, those are similar. Those are similar.
yeah.
Yes. And trauma can be subjective. I mean, there is just like real, what we see trauma in the form of many different abuses. However, trauma is subjective. If something traumatized you, then it is. If you're holding on to it, that is a trauma. Um, Also what I was gonna say, oh man, I keep losing my train of thought. It was so good too. I had something to add on to what you said.
You'll get it. It'll come back.
Because we were talking about, I don't know. Oh, so all of this, like realizing trauma, being able to answer these questions, and also how you're saying like the unity, like we have a little triangle in a unity, recovery, and fellowship. Then none of that can happen if step two isn't realized. So you have to come to believe in a power greater than yourself. You
Mm-hmm.
have to.
And that can be,
Paramount.
you know, these four people that are talking on this chat right now. At
Besides the
this
sex
point.
monger.
Huh?
You need it too. I said besides the sex monger, but you need it too. Hey, I'm not judging you. I'm glad you're here. I don't know.
But that, that at this point, it might be just a group or an idea that, okay,
Yeah.
that's the focus of my mind right now. Now, I caution people to say, oh, these girls know what they're talking about. I mean, we do, of course. But
For ourselves. We know it for ourselves.
we cannot be your higher power. Amy cannot be your higher power. Rachel cannot be your higher power because we don't know
We're just mere mortals.
exactly.
Don't make anyone your higher power.
Yes.
It's just like making alcohol your higher power. Or
Mm-hmm.
do it. Do that research, see how that works. It might take you out for a long time.
All right. Now
So
this
next,
is where a lot of my people
fall off.
have to think. No.
Oh,
How does my upbringing and the ideas about God with which I was raised affect my life and recovery today?
good question. Well, a little snippet. I was raised in a very strict Catholic church, not in crazy strict, but definitely strict. And it was a Catholic version of God and disciples and
Stop!
What?
Stop! Hold on. This is perfect.
What?
Mom, we can see your comments. You are TE42. Okay. I'm sorry, Rach.
No, it's okay.
I'm glad to know Mom is chatting because I know she has a lot to add to this
Yeah.
exact question. Please, I'm
No,
sorry. Rachel and Mom have a very similar story with this idea in mind. Go ahead. I'm so sorry.
no, it's okay.
So,
I was
Mom,
wondering
you're
if
good.
that
We
was.
can see your stuff.
Okay, I thought maybe I would be her, but I wasn't sure. Hi mom. So it was very religious and that community of religion. And I even went to Catholic school until I was in fifth grade until we moved. So how that affected my life was in the way of that I was taught to believe a certain way, that that was the right way. Now, I'm also taking that because I'm not against like necessarily religious people or whatever you want to believe. I'm just saying from my perspective, chicken or egg scenario, if I was born with this disease, then maybe if anyone, that was a way of me seeing it coming out even as a little kid. So if someone's like, this is what we believe, this is what we study, and I'm just like, yeah, don't tell me what to do, because that's kind of how it was.
That's, yeah.
Right. And as I've gotten older, I see it with a little bit more grace. And this is very recent for me, like very recent, where people are doing their best. They at least believe in something and it's for a good purpose. But just because religion, it is controversial. But for me, my upbringing of that religion, there were still really good people. But even if you believe in a religion or a community like that, there's still going to be pieces of shit floating around everywhere. Like that's just how it is. So I take that in consideration when I think about my upbringing today. But that's how, it affected my life in the way of where I just felt like I was told to believe something. That's what took me so long to really stick and stay in a recovery program. That's what that's what I have for that question.
So I work with a lot of Catholics. You were raised Catholic, right?
Correct. Yep.
A lot of the Catholic women that I've worked with said that they were raised believing that God was a punisher,
Yeah.
that God punished you for your wrongdoings.
Yep.
And so there was this automatic turn away from any sort of religion because everything they did was bad. And I
Yeah.
had one girl one time who just was in tears and sobbing because one of the nuns had hit her or something.
Mhm.
I don't remember the exact scenario. And all she associated with the church and the nuns was hatred, basically. That she was bad and they were good and that was it. And I told her that is a human idea of what God is,
That's
you know.
right.
And that really is what religion is in the first place. Okay? That's why step 2 is not about religion. We've already been skewed in our thinking of what a higher power, we come into, like we've already said, we come into this thinking, oh, I'm going to have to believe in God, I'm going to have to go to church, I'm not going to have any fun anymore. No. That is the human understanding of what religion is. For me, my mom she was raised right, but she said she was told this is how it's going to, this is what you believe, this is what we believe, right? And I think she questioned things. My mom's extremely intelligent, and as a child she was very intelligent too. um but she was never allowed to, like, uh-oh, did everything stop? Are we good? Oh, she was never allowed to, like, push the envelope of certain things, and so she rebelled, right? And I think probably a lot of people who are like us in, like, I
Mm.
want my way and I'm going to do it my way, and we're not just the sit and stay type of kids. We're going to push the envelope. My parents, like, almost gave us the opportunity to rebel. I don't know if that makes sense. It was like my dad said, you can flunk out of school, but I'm not paying for college. So you better figure something out. It's like they said, look, we're going to church on Sunday and you can go with us. You don't have, they never said it outwardly. They didn't say you don't have to believe and you don't have to do this and you don't have to do that. But it was kind of like, here's what we're doing. And
Mm.
if you want to join up with us, come on for the ride. You get to play music. You get to have some friends. And so we went to church, mostly through, middle school and high school. We were a church family, and it was
Mm.
very music driven and stuff. But my parents were never taught me that church is the way to a righteous life. Because that's
Yeah.
not true.
Well,
Religion is not the end all be all of life. And
well,
the
faith
sec,
is one.
huh?
Faith, having faith.
Exactly.
Hmm.
It's the personal relationship with your higher power. Now, mine is Jesus Christ. Mine is Jesus Christ. Okay? And that is part of my upbringing. But now that I'm an adult and I have explored what that means, it's not religion, it's spirituality. And so I'm grateful for the upbringing that I had, that I was able to explore that and push away and and put my hand in the face of God and say, talk to the hand. Because I was never taught that I was a bad kid if I questioned it.
Yeah, I wasn't taught either way, but that's why I didn't enjoy Catholic school because at some point I was like, I'm not gonna be pushed into believing whatever. And I'm glad I'm that headstrong and I can think for myself. But having faith is what's important because it just is. That to me is what's brought sanity.
So you're going, what faith? I don't have faith. I wasn't raised in church, or, I was molested by someone in the church, which is a huge, huge common issue
Yes, it
in
is.
addiction. A trusted person in your circle, and a lot of times in your religious fellowship. It's disgusting, it's horrible, it's wrong. That is not God. That is human. And if we can, at least with this question, take a step back and say, my ideas of God are not of God. They are of a human understanding, and I have to get rid of those right now.
Hmm.
That's all you have to do at this point. All of your skewed ideas about what God, what church is, what religion means, come to it as broken humans trying to make sense out of something we will never understand.
And that takes us to the next question too, I think, because
What
that yeah.
what works to give me serenity and peace of mind?
So when I was new, I probably would have said nothing because that's really how I felt. Or drinking because I was still in there. I was debating. I did a lot of debating going on. I was half in, half out. Contemplation, they call it, in the stages of addiction or getting sober. Now it's faith. It's
Mm-hmm.
God. And that's my higher power. And when I have taken those small steps, like I was talking about, to turn that over each day, um, it restored me to sanity. And then it's just chipping away little by little to form a new life that I can actually live consistently and with serenity and peace. And also honesty, I believe. Honesty's in there.
Um, I want to clarify a statement on the last question we were answering. I was never molested or anything like that by an elder in the church, or I haven't been in my never. That's never happened to me. I've never been sexually abused in any way. I mention that because of the church, because that's what a lot of people have an idea about when they're broken, or I just want to say that real quick. I had a good church upbringing. As far as serenity and peace of mind, for me, from the beginning, it's been music.
Mm.
Um, and even an extension of that, not necessarily the act of performing or singing or whatever, creating, but more just an organic, creative nature gives me peace of mind. So I'm a I'm not the best painter, but it's something that I do to kind of unlock different parts of my brain, and um, really that's a quiet time for me to spend time with God, or
That's
walking,
cool.
walking in nature. When I
Yeah.
have true serenity and peace of mind, it's when I recognize the the goodness in what is on this earth, because there is a lot of badness.
Yeah.
And so when I take a step back and I go, you know what, this is a this is a beautiful day, and I'm going to enjoy that. Now, when I'm first getting off alcohol, I didn't even know how to enjoy things like that. But I could come back to being creative helps me. And some people might not be able to answer this question. What gives me serenity and peace of mind? Well, nothing.
That's, yeah, in the beginning of my recovery, I would have said that because I had already given up music. But before that, that's what I would have said as well. And it changes too as your sobriety changes, or your recovery changes, or your addiction deepens.
Mm-hmm. And but to write this question off as saying nothing, that's not giving yourself enough credit as an intelligent, functioning member of society. Because even though we've messed up and we've done some really crappy things, there's something. There's something that we are passionate about, something that gets us going just right. And think
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
Think on that. Don't just say nothing. Come back to it later. And that's why I tell my people to sit on these questions.
No, that's smart because I said nothing because again, for me, I was looking at it from the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and I bet that would be a common one because that's where it's that selfish. It's just like we're not looking at ourselves enough and giving ourselves enough credit as a human to
Yes.
matter. And I definitely had those feelings very deeply when I came into recovery. Um, but music and dancing was always it for me, though, in a
Mm-hmm.
healthy mindset. And now coloring. I like to color.
So mom says, aren't some people afraid of serenity because they fear failure or more disappointment? Yes, absolutely. So it doesn't matter how happy I am or joyous in this moment. It's all just going to go to shit anyway tomorrow.
It might.
But that's not, yeah.
The faith.
I could turn off this podcast, turn around, and some guy knock my door down and shoot me dead. But in this moment, I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do in sharing a good message with people, with my best friend. Even if people are not listening, I'm having a conversation with this woman who I love with my whole heart that is keeping us sober right now.
That's
And
right.
that's serenity and peace of mind. Now, I wasn't here 3 years ago at all. But I could unlock a little bit of, okay, I'm creative. Yeah. So being creative gives me joy, gives me peace, gives me just an outlet. Reading. Maybe it's reading. Maybe it's chilling and watching a reality show. Whatever it is that just where you're just able to kick back and relax and go, you know what? I don't need a substance to get through this moment.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about here.
Replacing
Okay?
it. Like we dig out the crap to replace our thought process and put our thinking straight.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good question because it's like what eventually all these steps are in just life. It has to be put into action, not just a theory, not just a thought. So yeah, it's finding like healthy outlets.
What am I doing when I'm staying in anxiety and worrying about, like what mom says, the fear of
Mm.
failure or more disappointment?
Well, it's
Well,
staying in the past.
that or future tripping, as my
Yep,
as
either
my
one. Right.
my sponsor says. Mine most of the time
Yeah.
is future. Past,
I'm more, that's funny because I lived in the past forever in addiction when I came in, like for so many years, and now it's more, I get the same thing too. I wonder if that's a common theme in like our years of sobriety where my sponsor's like, you're future tripping.
you're
It's like,
desperately trying to control whatever you
yeah,
can, when really, like, so what I was going to say is, 3 years ago when I answered this question
yeah.
in so many words, however my sponsor posed it to me, because
Hmm.
we have to get down to the bottom of serenity,
Right.
because we don't understand what that means when we're on step 2 and trying to restore sanity. When I was asked this question and I say music or whatever, blah 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 blah. Now look, 3 years later, look at this amazing like view that we have on our podcast. That's just like studio creativity. I sat a couple weeks ago, and Rachel remembers I was just playing
I know
around.
you're the best at that. I appreciate it so much. It's awesome. I literally just show up. Like people, I don't really know what I can give, but
Oh
I
my
have the ideas and the thoughts, I guess, and the banter. No, you are. I've learned a lot actually from you.
But look at that's now. Those of you who are like, I don't have any serenity or peace of mind. Nothing gives me that.
Yeah.
Yes, it does, because you're looking at me now, 3 years down the road, who's always been um, well versed with video technology and computers and things like that. But now look at what I'm using it for. Okay, I'm
Yes,
using
that's a
it for
great
the
transition.
and once you start understanding yourself more, and there's more to your life than just drinking.
Yeah, look at what you can offer. That's
Mm-hmm.
great. It's like that's why again, chipping it away just little by little, because in essence, the entire recovery process, yeah, it's overwhelming, but you don't look at it that way. It's just very little, and it took me a long time to stay in the moment. But I'm telling you what, if you don't have a sponsor, your success rate is not going to be high because if you can't teach yourself, if you can't give like teach yourself school and then pass with your own degree, you can't go through recovery in life just with your own laurels. Like it's good to, that's the whole point of the fellowship. It's like getting
Mm-hmm.
outside of yourself.
Mm-hmm. And again, this is not a professional work, and
No, this is all just from our own
we
experiences.
have to
Yeah.
remember that, and we have to tell
Yeah.
people that the steps will help you, no matter who you are, no matter what you're dealing with. The steps will help you. If it's simply a control issue, simply, right? My issues stem
Yeah.
from control and were manifested through alcohol and
Mm.
messed up my chemistry, blah, 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 blah. But it really all goes back to that wanting to be in control, vanity, attention seeking, blah, 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 blah. So if you're
Yeah.
like, well, I don't have a vice where I act out on that, okay, then just work on the control issue. The steps should be part of high school graduation when you're 18 years old.
That and working in fast food, I agree. Because you got to know, I think it's important. I'm so happy and glad that I know the value of like working really hard for not much because they're not easy. But yeah,
I
I
don't,
agree.
and I know that. I don't know like what it's like to work in fast food. I wasn't cut out for it. I really like my dad when I was 15 said you should start teaching music lessons. And I was like, great. So I taught music lessons until I was like 20. Then I got a job in a print music store, and then I got a job as a music teacher. I have never gone out there and really done what people do to make a buck. I've
I
never done
think,
it.
well, we could volunteer easily somewhere. I think maybe that'll be one like we're on the road podcast thing, and we'll be like, this is Leslie. We're gonna be building a house for somebody or something. I don't know. It's there's a lot of amazing people you can meet, and that sense I got
Can
working as a
I
community.
just tell people where to go when we're building the house instead of doing
I
things?
say control in action, folks. Um, that gave me serenity and peace of mind to know that I could be part of something that works so seamlessly, and it took a lot of individual effort to become unified. That was actually just realizing that now. That was probably my first introspective, besides being in a band, that a group as a whole, when working hard individually, how substantial that is, and how much you can learn from that.
Mm.
Because there was fun. I mean, we had a good time. We had a great team at one point. I worked at Wendy's many moons ago, and it's still one of my favorite jobs ever. Um, if honestly, if the same crew was together, I'd probably whatever, dude. I would have made a career out of it. It was a good time.
Mm-hmm.
We had fun,
Yeah.
and everyone loves the good fast food places when they get that good crew because you're like jamming, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I love fast food.
Me too. I mean, who doesn't? It's delish. So, any more questions, or is
Oh,
that
yeah. What
yeah?
takes away my serenity?
Ooh, control. I think believing in my own self as my higher power, going back out and drinking, anything simple like knowing that, like for me, once I came to recovery, if I went back out and drank, I know what that's gonna result in. But what I didn't know is that staying would have resulted in serenity and peace of mind.
Mm-hmm. Mine is trying to fix everything, trying
Control.
to be in the mix of everything,
Control.
trying to solve everyone's problems.
I did the same thing. We're very similar that way.
Mm-hmm. that might be a woman thing. You know, my mom commented Leslie was
Probably.
born a caretaker, and because she was so take charge and capable, I let her be the little mom to her sister, and realize now I put too much responsibility on her at a very young age. She is a perfectionist.
Best you could, though, Mom. Like you were trying, in my
Yeah,
opinion, the way I see it is that
mom
here's my
can't.
daughter who's really good at something. Let me help her, you know. But the disease of alcoholism takes over sometimes. So maybe it's a mix of both. Like it's my older sister was like that too. And then I was like that with my younger sister. And I finally come to the realization in my step work where it's like, I'm not going to hate on my mom for that. And I hope she feels okay because I made those choices of wanting to continue it, even as a young person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I did because I was the same way. I'm like, let me do all this because it validated something in me.
You know, Rachel said something to me this week because I was very upset. I was crying on Sunday. You know, Justin was so sick, and he was sleeping
Yeah.
in the living area, and he's in a studio, so I was in the kitchen and working on the computer, and I was just really feeling it. You know, that I was leaving, and he's still sick. Da 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 da. And Rachel said, "There's nothing wrong with wanting to take care of the person you love," and that really validated me because there really is nothing wrong with that. It is in the actions that I take that gets me in trouble.
Right. Your intention is pure, but you can't take like bad intentions and make them good or good. Well, you can make good. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I feel you though. I can have the best intentions of the world in the world, but if I don't put them into action that is my higher power's will, I'm taking control.
Right.
And that can upset people. And it's a fine line. And it's hard to explain, but it's one of those things like the longer you stay around recovery or the longer you just in recovery doesn't have to be addiction. I think again, like Leslie said, everyone should work this because everybody has this going on in some form. Um
what
yeah.
what you made me realize, and I said this to you and my sponsor, is yeah, I want to take care of the people I love, right?
Right.
The issue is if I can't do that the way I want to do it,
Yeah.
I can't be a little bitch about it.
Well, you can, but you know that result.
Well,
You
right.
right? So, but well, describe that though, because I know you use like you said, you're crass, and I understand what you mean. But you have a very big heart, and you're very sensitive, even though you don't like to maybe not show that. So, what do you mean by like being a little bitch? Like you can't take control. Like dive into that a little deeper so people understand.
So like, okay. So I was in my head Sunday morning. I was feeling it, and I was like, look, I'm just, I'm in self pity today. And when you sit back and you think, my boyfriend's sick, and I have to leave tomorrow, and now I'm not gonna get to see him again. That's my choice to act like that. And how many times have I talked about switching your thinking and saying, you know what, God, I am so grateful that I am here with him
Gratitude.
while
Yeah.
he was sick, that I was able to cook for him, to clean for him, to help him around, and really made it easier on him through the worst of it. That's how I'm helping him.
There you
And
go.
that
I bet that changed your mindset too,
and
right?
I'm good at those things, but I also wasn't like, well, here's what you're eating and here's what you're drinking with your vitamin C drops because that's what you're going to do to get better. That's what I did in the past.
Yeah, me too.
And so it's my choice to act like a little bitch or not.
There you go. So it's more than just be a little bitch. Like it's a nice. I'm glad that you explained what that means because I think a lot of us as again alcoholics addicts we get into our head that way where our intention is good but the delivery the action piece is still sick and
Yeah.
suffering because it hasn't come to serenity and peace and that knowing that is the difference in so many things.
And you know what else?
Yeah.
There's only so long that people can coast on, oh, she's a good person. That's what I was doing.
Yes, because actions speak louder than words. I'm sorry but they just do.
So I am a good person. I'm a kind, compassionate person. But when I'm making selfish decisions, am I showing that? And how many times am I going to be able to get away with that? Well, it turns out 38 years is about as long. Well, let's say I drank hardcore, let's say 8 years. 8 years
Yeah,
is about as long as you can get away with it before everything
that's
turns
about
to
the
shit.
same. Yeah, I did about 8 years, probably like 6 hard years, and then the last two because I
I
can't
had all the
fucking
good
crap
intentions
out of
in
it.
the world.
Well, I meant well, but I humped your husband, so we're gonna scratch that one, and then that car I drove and crashed. But my intention was to get home, so it's okay. Like that's a very extreme way of putting it, but if you think of
But
sometimes
that's exactly.
if you think of extremes, it's like that's where it gets. Just like how you make excuse to be like, well, I hit the drinking. Well, I switched to vodka because it doesn't smell, which I don't really believe that because an alcoholic knows. We just do. We can tell. And
Listen, I snuck
sanity.
vodka one time, and my mom was in the same room with me, and she goes, "Do you think that people don't know that that smells?" And I was like,
I don't care in the
"What?"
end. It was just like, I'm fine. Like you smell like a fucking joint. Like, no, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, pills, I guess you can't tell, but right here you can. I'm like, your eyes are not pinned because you're tired, homie. Like, those pupils don't pin just because. You have some kind of weird fucking medical thing going on.
living
Stop.
living in a crazy city of nuts all wrapped up in themselves. I miss nice people. To live on a piece of land with our kids and be self-sufficient, gardening, raising animals, back to simpler days, dreams.
Uh,
She needs to text that to Justin.
I will live in that commune with you. That would be
Yes.
lovely.
Are
That
we?
would be absolutely lovely.
Um, that is. I mean, that would be wonderful. You know.
It is. If people do that, it can be real. It can be
Mm-hmm.
materialized.
And
Absolutely.
Texas is the place for it to be. Honestly. All right, moving along. Here we go.
Yes.
You know, there's only 10 questions, and
Well, that's okay because we're extrapolating and we're also like, if again, if you're new, older, in the middle, it's kind of you can take a little bit from what we say and make it greater, or that's why I wanted to simplify because we were very brand new. I think I don't know, we're
mm-hmm.
showing how it works.
In what ways am I spiritual? Now, let's think back. We need to go back to when we first get into the program.
Yes.
How am I? How was I spiritual?
Mm. So, what ways was I spiritual? Being honest, I didn't really have anything spiritual.
My
Like
mom
all,
said you can live on the commune. She already loves your son.
well, we love you. I already know we'd be. Thank you. That's like my birthday's coming up, so that filled my heart. Thank you very much. He's the best. He's such a sweetie.
Yeah.
Grandkid number one for you.
Grandkid. Okay, we'll leave it there for now.
um, I only had the concept of what I came in with, explaining in the question about like what I thought faith was in God and that kind of thing, and what I came in the program with. So I had stepped away from it. Did I believe in it? In my heart of hearts, yes. Did I understand it? No. So I didn't really have a sense of spirituality. I thought it was just like being kind. It was very simple and it was still like on the outskirts. I wasn't really looking at, I was like chipping away, like afraid to really look at that. Today, in what ways I'm spiritual? Well, I believe in a higher power whom I choose to call God. And I make sure I pray to that higher power. I make sure that when my thinking feels disruptive, instead of reaching out and just like spewing anger at everyone, I discuss it with my higher power. I figure things out that way. And I carry that word and the message that I've learned in recovery and with that higher power to others. And that to me is spiritual. That's the way I can be spiritual. And I try to stay in the essence of being loving and kind and understanding. And if I'm wrong, I really do promptly admit it. Like I surprise myself when I say these things because that's how well this program works. I didn't even want to listen, but it just kind of starts happening as you go. So it's very ocean like. It ebbs and flows.
Mm-hmm.
And I just keep giving it and I just keep, I give and take. And that to me is like, I don't know, that's what spiritual is to me.
Let's
What about
see.
you?
I have my step two actually right here with my
Okay, cool.
sponsor.
For when you did yours?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Um,
while you're finding that, Mom wrote religion. by definition, is a personal set or institutionalized system of religious attitudes, beliefs, and practices, the service and worship of God or the supernatural. Spirituality, on the other hand, connotes an experience of connection with something larger than you, living everyday life in reverent and sacred manner. Yes, that's exactly what I was saying. Like giving it back what was given to me and understanding what that is. Thank you for that.
Oh my god, this is crazy what I'm reading right
What you
now.
wrote? Well, read it though.
Okay,
Maybe it's good to see it.
so she made me write how I've been restored to sanity. Okay,
Okay.
I realize that there is no right or wrong way to write this, but I do want to be sure that I've fully understood each task I should complete before doing so. Yeah, this is me. I'm such a fucking cunt. Why do I have to be so perfect? Like I'm writing a fucking term paper.
Be easy on yourself.
That being said, that being said, I'm still not sure if my definition of insanity is what it should be.
Hmm.
However, the way I've interpreted my insanity and restoration of sanity is as follows. Number one, I was blind to the way alcohol controlled me. I continued to drink, allowing myself to lose control, but saw nothing wrong with it. I just like the taste. I remember leading a church ladies retreat, the church where I'm an active member, and one of the requirements was for everyone to bring their favorite alcoholic beverage. My God, what the hell was wrong with me? Number two, I've come to realize things that were happening in my mind that I have been ignoring. I am a rescuer. I crave male attention. I feign confidence. I look for ways to be validated. I compete in every aspect of my life. I am entitled. My marriage is not okay. My control and codependency have assisted in creating an unhealthy relationship with my husband. I have realized that he has been enabling my drinking, propelling my codependency, stroking my ego due to his own codependent issues. While we are both codependent, he is a completely different type. Number four, I can now easily work through my anxiety without feeling as if the world has abandoned me. While I've had my moments in the past 87 days, it is apparent that I am identifying reasons for my drinking and simply putting my mind at ease rather than worrying for hours. Number five, I'm not perfect. I am more apt to admit when I'm wrong. I see ways that I have behaved badly in the past, and I am realizing how that has affected other people. I am giddy happy about teaching sober. I can see how I've let my classroom run amok, so to speak. I haven't fully engaged in my students who deserve my undivided attention and nurturing. Perhaps these statements don't define sanity or insanity, but that's okay. This is what I feel. I'm now okay presenting this to my sponsor and God with the possibility that I didn't comprehend appropriately. That, to me, has been a restoration of sanity.
I mean, that's really poignant for early recovery. I can hear a lot of early recovery, and I
Right?
can hear some letting go as well,
Mm-hmm.
which it's like that you're arguing with yourself almost. That's why it's good to put things on paper. I was never a
That's
fan of that.
why. That's why I do it like this.
It's good. It's
Mm-hmm.
perfect. Mom also says, and I love this, religion binds us and spirituality frees us. That's a
Mm-hmm.
great way to say it.
So how am I spiritual? Back then, I thought spirituality was going to church,
Yeah.
praying,
Yeah.
preaching the good word, which I do not make someone spiritual, but that is not spirituality.
It's a practice of it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, my my spirituality was feigned,
Mm.
where I went through the motions of what I thought a good person looked like.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Yes. But inside you're just like, fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um, and and you know exactly what you had just read. What Mom wrote.
Mm.
Spirituality is an experience of connection to something larger than you, living every day in reverent and sacred manner, and that's what this step is about.
Yes.
What's larger than me? We don't know. We don't know right now. We don't know what that means. We don't know if
I don't
that's
know if
God.
anyone really knows, so that's
We
okay.
we don't know if it's energy. We don't know if it's the way the wind blows. We don't know if it's the way a certain piece of music grips you. Okay? All of those things, yes, go into spirituality. But we don't have to define how you get there during step
Right.
2. There are spiritual experiences that everyone has had. Go back. What was it when you were 10 years old? You know, oh,
Right.
I
It's like a
remember.
reconnection to it. It's
Mm-hmm.
reconnecting to it to know that it's there and say hello to it, and then you can continue forward. You could
Mm-hmm.
always redo these because once you get further in the program, if you decide to go that way, at least for me, I live 1, 2, and 3 every day. I put them into action as best I can.
Mm-hmm.
And then it again, it's just more practice and then it
Mm-hmm.
becomes more automatic. Because even for a while, like Leslie and I've talked before when because we're a year apart in sobriety. So she's like year 3 was like my spiritual year, and I get that. And I'm rounding out on year 2. And I used to think like, oh man, I gotta catch up, because I'm very competitive too. And I thought, "Ah, I'm not doing this right." And that kind of takes me into the next question too. Name a recent example where I've relied on my own thinking. That's me and my alcoholic thinking being like, well, I gotta stick with the pack here. That's not what it's about. It's not a race. And the end result is the same for everyone: peace and serenity and a
Mm-hmm.
belief in something greater than yourself.
And it could come faster and it could come slower. I mean, some
Yep,
people
you
get
don't
this
know.
immediately and are lifelong sober contributing members of a
Yeah.
12-step fellowship.
Mhm.
And some people are breaking the tip of the iceberg 20 years down the road, you know. It's I can't tell you what your spirituality will look like. Do you kneel beside your bed and say a prayer 3 times a day? I don't care. I don't care if that's what you do. If that's the way you feel like you are spiritual, then great. For me, that's
Right.
not what that is. For me, my spirituality is driving in the car and seeing the wonder that is a thunderstorm that my higher power has created for me. And so when I take that to the next question, relying
Yeah.
on my own thinking,
Yeah.
you know, I can't explain a thunderstorm. I can't explain the power of, like what I said, the way the man you love looks at you, or when a
Yeah.
child hugs you. I can't explain those things. So how in the world am I going to explain by my own thinking
Mhm.
how this life is supposed to, how am I going to fix my life when I can't even understand why certain things are the way that they are? So when I
Mhm.
rely on my own thinking of, oh yeah, it's time for a drink, it's glug 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 glug, this is the best decision ever. We know it's not. We knew it wasn't. We have known it's not the entire time. We
That's
know
right. Now we're
this.
being honest about it, which is why you have to have a fellowship and tell on yourself because it's telling on your disease. Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, I was drunk longer than I was sober, so I can't assume that just because I'm doing better now and I found spirituality and faith and, a multitude of other amazing things like serenity and peace that I'm gonna just be like, okay, I'm cured now. I can go back because I'm gonna slip back in
Mm-hmm.
to relying on what I think is right, what I know. There's a common thread. I, not we, I. And
I just had a conversation with a very good friend last on Wednesday, and
yeah.
he said, "I don't think I need to work the program anymore." And I said,
Mm,
"That's when you know that you absolutely have to. That's relying on your own thinking. I don't need a program. I'm
there you
doing
go.
good. Are
You
you
never
doing good? You got $27 in your bank account, and
even if you have a million, no million money doesn't fix
no,
this.
I.
Money doesn't fix that. Well, just but the people might. That's what that are
That
watching because
is what they
some
think.
people come in, they might not have trauma. They might have a lot of success, like what the material world looks like, but it's deeper than that. Take
That's
the
how
people.
I was. That's how I was.
Yeah, and
Everything
it's
was
there might be
fine.
like that. There's people like, but that's okay. That's why your story matters too. You don't have to be molested and beat to know. I have experienced those things, but I've also experienced success as well. So I can have all sides.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. All right. What's the next one?
The next one is, how can I stop relying on my own thinking and begin asking for
Hmm,
help?
just do it.
That, right? That exact thing. Do it.
Do it. You just put it into action. You take that first step out of hell and you go, I'm an alcoholic, I'm an addict, I'm a sex addict, I'm a gambler, and I need help. And you go to the right place and then even if you
And
don't believe, but you have that feeling, because I've heard this, you
mm-hmm,
have that feeling in your soul where it's just like, I just need to pray. Sometimes it comes out as God or whatever. Trust that. That is something guiding you, and that can connect you to whatever your higher power is. But I truly believe that. Go with that. That's a good,
yes, because there's nowhere else to turn at this point. So this
right.
is where you cry out and say, God, help
Yeah.
me. Universe,
Yes.
help me.
Check out some meetings where people talk about that and stick around until someone shares. I never believed, but I don't know why I was overcome with this ability and this thought. Oh, I got goosebumps to just be like, God, please help me, and I won't do this. And
Mm-hmm.
the miracle stories that happen after that are just amazing, and that can keep you connected enough to stay around to be like, okay, this isn't bullshit,
Mm-hmm.
and it will happen.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And we won't talk about the the agnostic or atheistic views of spirituality
No, because we both
because
don't agree then.
because that's those positions are valid, of
Maybe we should
course.
have somebody on here that can
Mm-hmm.
talk to people that and that's, I mean, that's okay. Even atheists, if as long as it's not hateful, I'm down, because I don't believe that that means people are hateful because they're different.
And I don't believe that I don't know. I don't understand it.
I don't either.
I don't understand how you can be spiritual when you don't believe in something. Um,
Maybe their perception of that thing is the same. It's just they say they use a different use different descriptive words.
but I am boldly telling our listeners
Hmm.
that even if you don't know what it is that you're praying to, do it anyway.
Yeah, the
It
prayer part. Yes. Yes.
it it doesn't really matter what it is, except it when you're thinking about, okay, what am I going to do, what am I going to do, you can't pray to your dog, you can't pray to the chair, the doorknob. Those things will die, they will rust, they will crack, they will break, and those things cannot be a higher power, because you cannot put your faith into a
Well, it's
doorknob,
not
a
greater than
chair.
yourself. Your
Right.
dog isn't greater than yourself. A doorknob isn't greater than yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I've heard people like starting that way. Like I was in meetings when I first got into recovery when I was
Mm-hmm.
in rehab, and somebody's higher power was their Mountain Dew bottle. I was like, okay, do I agree with that personally? No. If it gets them in the door, it'll grow from there.
Right. Right. And that's what I'm saying. I don't care what it is that you're. I caution people that if it's anything that can be destroyed,
Tangible, yeah.
then it's from drop the rock, act as if. Amy said that.
I love
Oh,
that.
yeah, act as if. Yeah.
That's right. That's perfect, Amy. Thank
I
you.
hate fake it till you make it. I don't like
I'm
teaching
not a
my.
fan either.
I
Because
don't.
we did that in addiction.
I don't like teaching my students fake it till you make it, but there is a point. I tell them all the time, look, I have performed full week long theater runs with the flu.
Mm,
You better believe that when I'm on that stage, no one knew I had the flu. Okay? That's how I define fake it till you make it. Okay? But I wasn't faking my performance. I wasn't faking my acting experience. I was a good actor and I could do it. So I don't really like the connotation behind that. However, in this instance, I do understand. And yes, Amy says that's why I use this, act as if. That's a much better way to put it. It's a much better. Um, it's more palatable
yes.
to say it
It's more
that way.
spiritual in
Mm-hmm.
essence, too. And that's the thing. Like everything will become spiritual instead of about you or someone else, or I don't, it's hard. It is hard to describe. That's why it's good to have a fellowship of different people or support group of different people that have different experiences, because you can learn from it. At least I have. And that drew me closer to the higher power of my understanding.
Mm-hmm. So mom says, but what if you don't trust anyone because maybe in the past you've been pulled aside and treated as if you are an embarrassment to those close to you who have always kept an outwardly perfect front?
Mm.
Well, that is human. Those are human beings making you feel that way.
Yeah, I
And
would say talk to your sponsor about that and take that to a meeting.
those are our those are our putting our worth into the way other people view us.
Right.
And I'll say the same thing that the judges or the lawyers say to juries. Don't leave your common sense at the door. Don't don't check out your common sense when you get into a program, because I may have been a drunk, and I may have really made a mess of stuff,
Hmm.
but I'll tell you, Rachel is one who has had a lot of burning in the past as far as the trust issue goes. Has had a lot of people rake her across the coals. I have, to an extent, not as bad. Um, but Rachel will say, if this doesn't feel right to you, trust your gut.
Hmm.
Um, you don't have to trust anyone. You don't have to trust people to be sober. You should
I
probably
like,
trust your sponsor.
yeah. And trusting your gut sometimes works because for someone that has experienced that with abandonment issues, when I trust the voice inside me, I've realized more and more that that was my higher power speaking through me. Whether I chose to always listen, that was different. That was me being human. But the answer is there. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where, when step 11 comes around, that's a big one to find those answers in meditation.
But also, there's a saying that we have is sit and stay.
Yep.
You don't have to
Yeah.
say anything. You don't have
Nope.
to speak up. You don't have to give anyone your number. You don't have to say, I need help. I mean, the fact that you're there is saying that you need help, and that's wonderful. But the more you sit and you listen and you stick around, you'll see, okay, these people are, that group of people over there, I don't want anything to do with them. I can
Mm.
tell that they are not spiritual. I can tell that they don't get it, and I don't want to be like that. But then you will see the other side, and you'll say,
Yeah.
I want that. Those are and that's where people start coming out of the woodwork and say, hey, do you sponsor people? How do I go about working this program? Because they're sitting and they're taking things in, and they're going, okay, maybe there is some truth in this. Maybe there's something that I really should be paying attention to here. And it's taken me a while to get here, but I'm ready to maybe take a leap of faith and reach out to someone. I mean, it may take 10 years, it may take 10 minutes. But if you're willing to break down those walls, then they can be broken down.
Yeah.
That doesn't
Yeah,
mean you
well,
have to pass around your phone number or go to dinner
no.
or have birthday celebrations with people.
But what I do love from the promises is it will materialize if you work for it.
Mm-hmm.
Keyword work.
Right.
This was good.
All right. Then the prayer is step 2 prayer. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Heavenly Father, I know in my heart that only you can restore me to sanity. I humbly ask that you remove all twisted thought and addictive behavior from me this day. Heal my spirit and restore in me a clear mind. Ah, I thought you said we didn't have to pray to God, Leslie. You lied to me at the beginning of step 2. I didn't lie. You don't have to pray this, but it's there for you.
You can also change the word in the top
Mm-hmm. You could
and
just
just say,
say, I know that I can't restore myself to sanity.
there you go.
And
Well, oh, go ahead.
go ahead.
I was gonna say that's some good step 2 work right there. So if you, I need to let my dog out and I'm hungry,
Okay.
but if yeah, if you have any questions out there, if you're struggling, if you agree, disagree, reach out to us. We're always here to help. I hope this continues to grow the way it is. Definitely subscribe, take a listen, sit and stay here. If nothing else, you'll have a good laugh. I
Yes.
promise you that.
St- um, you can email mail dot it's okay to laugh at gmail.com. If you need help with anything, you will be kept confidential and anonymous.
Yes,
unless
we are not
you.
anonymous, but we'll keep your anonymity.
And if you have any questions and any comments that come through on our videos, we try to address them as quickly as possible. And we are here for you. And I'm really glad that she has to take her dog out because I have to take myself out right now.
Let's gotta go pay pay.
All right, darlings. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yay.
Love
Great
you
to see you
all.
all. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Mm.